live.
We're live, are we? Nice one, buddy. Excellent.
Mhm.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. I hope we're all well. How's Daniel doing this morning?
Yeah, good man. All
Yeah,
good. Got my
good.
coffee beside me, so got my brain fuel here.
Ready to go, mate. Ready to
Take
go.
it. Yeah.
We're on Wednesday. Hump day. Hump
Yep.
day. Need that early morning coffee. Yeah, I've had mine as well. Right, we're a bit better over here than we were this time last week. It's not snowing. It's all melted.
Right. Yeah.
How's things been your way?
Yeah. It's been quite snowy. It's starting to melt now, as you said. I think that it's pretty much looking a bit dry outside now, which is I don't know, it's good or bad depending on how you see it, but
Yeah.
but yeah.
I think it's going to be a tiny bit warmer this week, apparently, as well. So, we can maybe use that chance to get outside. We can get for a walk, maybe get a little bit more active, even just get some fresh air.
Yeah.
There's a lot can be said for sort of, I know that we always mention like training in the house when the weather's bad and stuff like that, but there's no comparison really to getting out and getting a little bit of fresh air.
True.
Definitely not, even if it is just a little walk around to the shops, you've got to take the dog out or whatever, hopefully that'll be a little bit easier this week anyway, all that ice and snow melting.
Yeah, exactly.
So just to sort of recap on what we did last week before we look forward, we were sort of touching on sort of like time management, certain equipment that we needed for certain exercises, making sure that we've got the sort of appropriate clothing, appropriate footwear, a little bit of sort of health and safety in the fitness environment as well. And we took a little bit of time to think about like the idea of self-reflection as well, which I think is really important, to be able to sort of assess where you are now, where were you, a week, 2 weeks, 6 months prior, and seeing what progress you've made, what progress you'd like to make, and being a little bit honest with yourself as well, strengths and weaknesses. What am I good at? What do I feel not so good at? Again, not to say that you can't go and do an activity that you're not very good at. Go, like, if you enjoy it, knock yourself out. But it's just looking at, okay, certain things like, do I have bad knees? Okay, yeah. In which case, going and doing a load of heavy squats probably isn't going to be the best sort of thing for me to be doing, and just sort of going from there. And that can give you an idea of areas to improve as well. It doesn't necessarily need to be, I want to just get stronger. I just want to get stronger. I want to put more weight on the bar before I do that squat. It might be that exact example. My knees aren't so great, but I want to get better at squatting and that sort of movement. How can I strengthen my knees? Can I do exercises that are going to strengthen my knees, resistance bands, all that sort of stuff? And without taking the time to sort of self-reflect on that, you're probably just going to try pushing through, say, my form will go out the window, I'll just lift as much weight as I can. And before you know it, you end up injuring yourself. You need to take a bit of time off, knocks all the wind out your sails, and it can actually put something at the back of your mind as well. I mean, I don't know if you've ever done something where you've maybe broke a bone or hurt yourself. You're going to have that doubt in the back of your mind when you go back to that, Daniel, I know you did your ankle last year, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, I did, yeah. Yeah, definitely, man. I'm definitely a bit more kind of cautious, especially around this time, because it was on like wet ground, so I'm a bit more cautious when I slip now,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and you're probably without even really thinking about it, just a little bit more cautious about sort of like your footing and stuff like that as well, and again, we can take ourselves out of the position where we're getting injuries. I mean, obviously not that one, but yes, some injuries are preventable, so the more we can prevent the better.
Definitely.
So yeah, that was just sort of like a rough rundown through last week. Now what we're going to do this week, we're going to be doing a little bit of our own research, or you're going to be doing a little bit of your own research at home, just into a little bit of sport and leisure, and we're going to be thinking about putting together our own fitness class, or your own fitness class. Yeah, so I'm interested to see what sort of ideas we get, because you know what, every time you mention fitness classes to somebody or ask them to come up with a couple of ideas, I always hear something I never even came across in 6 years working in the gym. It might be, we're going to do this, we're going to chuck these resistance bands in. I've seen even some of the fitness classes that they get coming through now, there's one called Pound, where you'll get where you're pretty much drumming with like these weighted sticks, but you're obviously twisting on the spot, drumming on the floor. It's really sort of good movement and good exercise. So it's not just a case of looking at it and saying, do you know what, I don't like the look of a spinning class. Group exercise isn't for me. There might be something out there for you. If not, let's see if we can think up something that might be for you. You know, there's obviously going to be gaps there somewhere. So yeah, let's see what we can come up with. So if we can just roll on to that first slide, dude.
Yep.
That was just what I just ran through, sort of recapping from last week.
Mm-hmm.
Again, if you're coming back later on in the week and you're revisiting this and you want to remember what the session before this one was, that'll just give you a little bit more of an idea where we're coming into the day from. Okay, cool. So if we go next slide, buddy.
Yeah.
Please. For today's session, yeah, like I say, we're looking at researching sport and leisure. So you're going to be going away and doing a little bit of it yourself, you know, just giving you that sort of responsibility. And we're going to be looking at work-related skills as well, you know, stuff that will transfer across into maybe a workplace or you know, maybe even like a volunteer position or something like that. You know, it can be time management that we mentioned last week. It could be presentation skills, you know, depending on what the job might be, anything like that, you know. And then again, once you've done your poster, because that's what we're going to do, you're going to take away at the end of the day, we're going to have an idea what your class is going to be. You go away and do a little bit more research and then put it into a poster. You know, this is my class. This is what makes it unique. This is who it would be suitable for. And then when that's ready to go, give me a shout and we'll get you one-to-one Zoom call booked in. And we'll just do that, like I say, just one-to-one, just be me and you. And we can run through that. And then I can just give a little bit of feedback afterwards, you know. And we can go from there. But yeah, between today and next week's session, if we can, if you get that poster done, give me a shout and we'll get that Zoom call booked in and we'll get that out of the way with for you. Cool. Right, buddy. Let's launch in then, eh? Let's launch in. Is that morning coffee kicking in yet?
Yeah, it is, bud.
Yes, spot on. Cool. Just trying to keep an eye on the chat as well. Yeah. Nice one. Okay, so to start us off, just a little bit of a warm-up exercise. So we've got 4 slides coming up next. All of them are going to contain 6 cards or 6 options, 3 keywords and 3 descriptions. So we're going to try and match the correct keyword with the correct description, yeah? So if we can blast on to the first slide with the grid on it, please, dude. There we go, spot on, cool. Okay, so at the top, yeah, we've got our 6 words, and underneath we've got descriptions or things that pair them up with those top options as well. So we're just gonna take a couple of minutes and have a look through. So same again between yourselves, if you want to pause it there and take a couple of minutes, by all means do. So we've got, just to run through, we've got to be organised, committed, confident, professional, understanding, and motivated, which I'd say are 6 pretty important work skills. You know, it's stuff that's gonna help you on this course. It's stuff that's gonna carry over into day-to-day life as well. You know, I think every workplace I've ever worked in, buddy. I'm not sure about yourself, but every workplace I've ever worked in, you know, this sort of stuff comes in really handy, even if it's just managing workload, managing sort of like even relationships with your colleagues as well. You know, that goes a long way. I think obviously the better relationship you've got with your colleagues, the easier your job's going to be.
100%, man.
In a lot of senses, you know, I'm aware there's work out there where you probably are just by yourself all day. You might be driving around in the van. You might be working in a particular booth on a production line or something like that. There are a lot of jobs out there where you do work by yourself a lot of the time. That doesn't necessarily mean that you don't interact with other people as well, you know. Even sort of like a long distance delivery driver, you know, might drive 6, 8, 10 hours getting to wherever they're going, don't have to deal with anybody, and then you've still got to deal with whoever you're unloading the cargo off to at the other end as well.
Yeah, of course.
You know, again, professionalism. Are you sort of turning up on time? Do you look smart? Are you representing what you're trying to represent? And it goes a long way, and all 6 of these skills or attributes really do end up being really important. So just looking at some of the descriptions that we can match them up with, just while you guys are taking a minute. So say over time you will become more something within your job. Something you need to be when being told something confidential. Something that you need to be at all times. a quality that helps keep you dedicated, something that you need to be to achieve your goal, and a skill that will make your job easier and more controlled. Yeah. And then, yeah. Cool. So, yeah, there's like I say, there's a lot of stuff there that we could sort of dig into, and just thinking about what you might even be thinking. Some of those words you think, I'm particularly good at those, you know, I feel like those apply to me, or those are a strong point with me, you know. In terms of being sort of motivated, you might feel that you can be quite compassionate and understanding. You might just be able to say, do you know what, I'm not the most organised in the world. I'll be the first person to hold my hands up and say, like, if I wasn't as organised as I can be, it would just be chaos. You know, it really would. So again, you know, a little bit of self-reflection. There's absolutely no harm in saying, do you know what, I think I'm really good at these. I could maybe work on these a little bit, you know. So I'll just give you guys a couple of minutes, and then we'll spin on and have a look at the answers slide. Cool. And if you've blasted through all of those and got those done, or you're pretty confident that you're done with those, maybe start having to think about what fitness class you're going to go with. You know, it's going to be something that we're going to build from the ground up. Like I say, maybe think about somebody who you'd like to sort of target your class towards. It might be someone with your own needs. It might be somebody that you know, who's maybe out there looking for an exercise class but thinks that nothing fits. Why don't we sort of hypothetically tailor something to them? And sort of take it from there, you know, because like I say, there's all sorts out there now. I've seen one class today. It's almost like, you know, those bouncers that you put in the door for a baby to sit in, like in a door frame, one of them. It's essentially one of them. It's like a harness, like an elastic harness, and I don't know whether it's designed to take like strain off of knees and reduced impact and stuff like that. But like doing an exercise class hooked up to one of these, so you've got like 20 people in a class, all in their own like baby bouncer, yeah. And I don't know whether they're doing like squat jumps, stuff like that, you know.
Mad, man.
And then you've got stuff like I don't know if you've ever seen them, buddy, you know, what we call TRX. And it's pretty much sort of like suspension training, so you just work against your own body weight, you know. It might be a rope that goes up and over a beam, over a bar in the gym, something like that, and you pretty much just get two handles, one either side, and then you just lean back and you're using your own body weight against gravity. And there's a lot of different ways you can use them, and I've seen classes built around them now as well. You know, as long as you've got plenty of them, it might be a case of you've got 5 people on them, 5 people doing body weight, and then you switch over, you know. You might have, say, a circuit of like we've talked about before, circuit training. You might just have maybe 3 exercises, maybe it's all in a row, all TRX, but each one a different exercise. You know, there's a lot of different stuff you can do with it. And it's not what I always liked about running my own classes. You've always got the freedom. Do you know what I mean? You can always make sure, oh, there's a little bit more of that in, you know. I can make sure, right, I want the guys moving around a little bit more, so I don't just necessarily want them sitting on 10 machines in a row, and doing whatever that machine is, you know. I want them picking up medicine balls, slamming them. I want them on battle ropes, you know, knocking 10 bells out of these battle ropes. And like I say, there's a lot of different stuff you can do, and I think it helps keep it sort of varied as well, you know, because I think if you were going to a fitness class and you were turning up every week and it was just the same old every week, it would soon get boring, you know. You'd disengage from it. You wouldn't necessarily be looking forward to going as much as you might have been, you know. So yeah, variety goes a long way when it comes to certainly when it comes to your exercise. You know, like I say, I've mentioned I've been training in the house a little bit. I'll get out for a walk, but even now it's a little bit like, you know, nice to have something different. I sort of saying dug the resistance bands out a couple of months ago, just because I'd done from the start of lockdown just sort of body weight yoga. You know, I know we've mentioned a bit of yoga as well, and it did just got to the point I said I just got to do something a little bit different. You know, I mean, what are you doing there, buddy? Are you just trying to get like some walks in and
just Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Obviously, like I was starting to run a bit, but since it's been like snowy and icy, I haven't been getting out as much. I mean, but it's just because it's icy outside and it's really really cold. So,
Mhm.
yeah, generally just more kind of stuff at home. Some yoga and bits of Pilates and stuff. Just when I can, really.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
and that's it. That's what we're saying. I think certainly right with the weather, the way it's been the last few months, we've been pretty limited in what we can do. Um, in terms of sort of especially variety and stuff like that. But yeah, like when we're thinking about putting our own classes together, we want to think about something that we can maybe change around every week. Something that we are going to be able to vary for people, and like I say, just see what we come up with. But for now, let's spin on and have a look at these answers then. So if you don't mind, buddy, just rolling on to that next slide, we'll get these paired up.
yep.
Cool. So being organised, like I say, it's something that I've realised is really important over the years. How often do you not need something until you really need it? And like you don't know where it is, you don't know
Yeah.
where this bit of paperwork is, where's that bit of information that I wrote down? Could be on a computer, where's that file that I saved or downloaded, where's that gone? And I think that certainly being organised and just sort of knowing where you're at, feeling on top of things, having a plan for stuff as well. It does make things a lot easier. We can see that is matched up with that one at the bottom right. So being organised, it's a skill that's going to make your job easier and more controlled. Less chaos, less stress. Again, if you wait until the deadline for something, then you start looking for something and it's not where it is. I'm sure we've all been there, whether it's even homework in school. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I've done it, or where have I put it though? Where have I put it? They're not going to believe that. And the stress that comes with that, it's just not worth it for the sake of saying, do you know what, this folder here is going to have all my stuff in that I need for this, so I know that when I come back to it or when I need to come back to it, this is where it is.
No, you're right, man. And it's as it says, it makes the job easier. So like when you do that, you save up more time. It becomes more efficient because you've got more time to do stuff because you know where everything is and you're not like looking around for stuff and wasting that excess time.
Yeah,
Trying to sort stuff.
yeah, that's a really good point as well. Even just in the sort of time you can save yourself, not just the emotional and mental stress of being disorganized, because I've been there. But yeah, that's a really good point as well, buddy. Um, Again, it's just ease. It's ease and convenience as much as anything. I sort of think of it as it's getting yourself in good habits as well,
Yeah,
isn't it? Like
exactly, man.
it doesn't come naturally to a lot of people. I mean, even if you're because I've met people over the years who work really well from like writing lists and having lists, plans and stuff physically written down. um Whatever works, whatever helps you keep a little bit more organized and feeling a little bit more in control. And that'll be the same when it comes to research in your class as well, to do your poster presentation. If
Totally.
you go away and you're trawling through the internet and you're looking at a load of different classes, are you going to maybe bookmark a couple of them? Are you going to take screen grabs? Even get a picture on your phone, bits that you want to remember, because that'll be a lot easier to sift through than the million tab browser that you just can't find anything on. But yeah, it does go a long way. Like Daniel says, it's going to save you a lot of time, and it's going to save you a lot of stress as well. Okay, so then we've got being confident. Sort of being confidence, a bit of a strange one, because confidence, I think, really easily blends into sort of arrogance,
It
cockiness,
does.
that sort of thing. It's there is definitely a line there somewhere, and it's sometimes a little bit of a hard line to see. But I don't think there's any harm at all in being confident in yourself and your own abilities.
Yeah.
Definitely not. Like, be your own biggest fan. I've always said, like, there's plenty of people in the world that are going to write off your ability to do something. You don't need to beat them to it. You don't need to do it first. If anything, we want to try and have that a little bit of a sense of confidence in, maybe if you've been designated a job, it might be at work, maybe it might be this presentation. It's something that if you're going away and you're researching it, chances are nobody's going to know it better than you who you're delivering the presentation to.
Yeah.
You've probably been assigned that task for a reason. The confidence is probably already in you.
Yeah.
Just from other people. You like I say, your boss might come to you and say, "Would you mind doing this?" And
Hmm.
they obviously have every confidence that you could get it done, and your alarm bells might be ringing in your head, doubting yourself.
It's
You know.
yeah, and I agree, totally agree what you're saying. It's you got to be confident so that I mean, how other people going to trust in your abilities if you don't trust in them yourself? So you need to be confident and be um like aware that you can do it or know that you can do it. But as you're saying, you can't go too far with confidence, and so it's good to be confident and humble. So it's like be humble, be willing to be proven wrong and accept that, but also have faith in your own abilities as well.
Absolutely, buddy. Absolutely. So we can see from there. So over time, you will become more confident with your job. Um, I think it goes with anything. The more you do something, the more familiar it feels,
Hmm.
the more comfortable you get in it, and the more confident you feel in your ability to cope and do the job well. You know,
Definitely.
like you were saying as well, buddy. I think that when you are, especially if you're relaying information to somebody else and you don't sound overly confident about what you're saying,
Hmm.
um, it's hard for other people to invest in that information.
Hmm.
Whereas if you come across confident, and the other, whoever's listening, the audience will probably be more likely to take it as fact. You know,
Definitely.
um, it does. It just comes with a little bit of time as well. Like I say, it does get better. I think even from a personal point of view, 6 months ago, I'd never done any online streaming or anything like that. Whereas again, the more you do it, just the more natural it starts to feel.
I think confidence becomes more important the more of a. I think in every position in any job it's important, but I think that more so in leadership positions,
Yeah,
because when you're actually managing people, they need to kind of be able to kind of have faith in you and to kind of trust your decision making abilities. So it's like that's when confidence is even more important because in terms of like your team morale and stuff like that, they look to you as a leadership figure. So it's like um, it's more so important, I think, in leadership positions. But
yeah, that's a
uh,
really good point as well. Yeah, confidence and leadership kind of have to go hand in hand
yeah,
to sort of let that person excel at their role. Like Daniel says, if you aren't confident in your own abilities, and how are your staff going to be, or the people that you're sort of delegating to or in charge of, but and I think as well, coming away from the professional side of it a little bit more, I think a lot of us, most of us, if not all, could probably do have just a little bit more confidence in ourselves anyway. Just day to day. Yes, maybe yes, you can cook that recipe that you've just seen online that you've never cooked before.
yeah,
If you're gonna decide that no, you can't do it, wait until you've tried it and prove that to yourself. You know,
100%.
you talk yourself out of it and you decide already that you're not able to do it, you'll never try, and you'll never surprise yourself. Um, again, that there's being humble and there's being modest, but I don't think there's any harm in all of us just trying to work on having a little bit more sort of self confidence. It does go a long way, and it comes across. And then we've kind of got the other side of the coin, which is like understanding and relating to other people. So we can see something you need to be when being told something confidential for sure. If you've
Yeah,
got someone coming to you, if you are in sort of like that responsibility role, and if that does fall within your role in your job, it might be something personal. It might be again outside the workplace. It might be a friend, family member just coming and wanting to speak to you. Um, and of course, the last thing that they want is judgment and feeling like they're being sort of attacked for just trying to open up and let them know something personal. So understanding goes a long way. A little bit of empathy, a little bit of, shoulder to cry on if you need it. Just I'm here for a little bit of support. Trying to see all aspects of the argument or the situation as well. And like I say, it's not just when it comes to stuff that needs to be kept confidential and people that are coming to you from that role. It's trust at the end of the day, isn't it?
hmm,
And Daniel, we both mentioned relationship with colleagues. You know, whatever degree that relationship might be, it might be somebody that you see all week in the office. Like I say, it might be somebody that you see at the other end of a 10-hour drive when you're dropping off your goods or whatever it is. But
Mm-hmm.
either way, you're likely to interact with other people in some way. You know, you might be you might be on a live chat. You know, you might be on the business end of a live chat talking to customers that way or potential customers that way, and you're not directly sort of seeing anybody, speaking to anybody, but you're still interacting with them, you know. And I think certainly in those sorts of jobs, you've got to have that little bit of understanding,
Totally.
because these people might be quite irate, you know. They whatever the situation is, there might be a lot of sort of emotion in the air, and it's easy to just sort of take that and for things to escalate without that little bit of understanding.
I think the people who work in like call centers in particular, is like a super important trait for them to have, because I've got friends who work in call centers, and they've, you know, I know that it's tough, right? Because like you could just be someone in a call center, and their issue could have nothing to do with you, but they're so angry because they've got an issue with, like, let's just say like it's something to do with, like, I don't know, it could be anything, right? Like their mobile network or something like that, and then they're like, so they're so angry, and they're angry at whatever it is, you know, like their connection or whatever, and then they'll call up, and then they'll start screaming at that person, and
Yeah,
it's like got
yeah,
nothing to do
yeah,
at all with that person, and then but that person has to like take the brunt of it. So it's like, and you've got to understand, well, okay, this person's annoyed, but it's like it's not something to do with that individual personally. But
well, yeah.
it's tough, man. I mean, it must be hard, I think, to work in a call center, because you'd have to deal with a lot of stuff where, like, you know, people are pretty irate, and it's like, well, it's not my fault, but like, you know, like,
Yeah, got to have some pretty thick skin, I think.
because that person's looking for a place to, like, the person who's got the problem, they're looking to vent their anger,
Yeah,
and then it's just as soon as the person picks up, you know.
yeah. You might be representing the company or the product that they're absolutely livid with,
Yeah,
and you
exactly.
are literally their only point of contact with that company or whatever it is.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying
And
to say. Yeah.
that is exactly who's gonna get it in the neck, isn't it? You know what I
Exactly.
mean? You
It
know?
sucks, man. It's and yeah, it's tough work. Like, definitely, I imagine.
Yeah, it really must be. And then of course it goes the other way as well. You know, if you are ringing somebody to say, look, you owe this much on your gas,
Yeah.
um, the company's saying we need to turn the gas off or whatever. You know, just thinking quite extreme. That person on the other end of the phone is going to have their own circumstances and situations.
I,
You need to understand.
exactly, mate. And it's like, I'm not blaming. You know what I mean? I've been in on that side of the coin as well, where it's like you get to speak to someone, but they're like, "Oh, I don't know this, or my department doesn't handle this," and then you get put through to someone else, and it can be pretty stressful. And like, actually, the other person who's phoning needs to be understandable as well, because I've literally thought to myself, like, I'm getting so annoyed by this, because that's the thing. If it's like, as you say, mate, if it's something to do with like gas or electric or something, and then they're saying, like, you know, so you have an issue where you have to call them, but you can't get through to the person that you want to speak to, and it's like, I need to get this problem resolved, but it's taken me so long, and you've been on hold for like 40 minutes or something.
Yeah,
It's pretty
yeah,
difficult to be nice and chilled and just relaxed, but at the same time, you, like, as we're saying, you know, and myself, like, when I felt myself being annoyed, I've never you know, took it out on the person in the call center, but I've just felt myself getting like so stressed in those situations, and I'm
yeah.
like literally trying my hardest to think, like, you know, this person's just working in the call center, it's not their fault that there's an issue with the electric, but
Yeah,
I'm still thinking, like, this is so annoying.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It is. You're ready to burst, aren't you? By the time you get
yeah,
there,
yeah.
somebody. Yeah. And like you say, buddy, it's more often than not that person's fault. So
Yeah.
understanding's a two-way street, and I think it works best when it is a two-way street and it goes both ways. You know, there's got to be a little bit of give and take on both sides. Um, but yeah, something that's going to make not only sort of like a job or a workplace easier, but any sort of interpersonal relationship and connection and stuff like that. You know, just
Mhm.
being able to maybe understand other people's circumstances or other people's point of view. And then we've got to be committed, which is something that you need to be to achieve your goal. at the end of the day, if we were to write down a couple of goals on a bit of paper or even just in our mind, but we're not committed to them, and whatever steps we need to take to sort of achieve them, we're not going to achieve them. At the end of the day, it's the same as, it might be a word that you've heard sort of associated with a diet. Oh, I'm really committed to my new diet, I'm really sticking to it, sort of thing, or my new training program, stuff like that. It's sort of a roundabout sort of the same as consistency. Be committed to it. Don't let or be a little bit more resistant against hiccups and sort of speed bumps that you're going to hit along the way. With anything that we set out to do, I think it would be a little bit naive to just assume it's going to be smooth sailing all the way. I think people, when they see these really successful business owners and millionaires, billionaires, and stuff like that, we see the success story. That's all we see. We see the steps that they've taken to get where they need to be. We don't necessarily see all the downfall, or like all of the sort of negatives to it. We don't see all the hiccups, all the setbacks they had. Just for example, I think J.K. Rowling, who wrote Harry Potter, I think she had the book turned down by about 30 different publishers before it eventually got picked up. And if she hadn't been committed to what she wanted to do, that would have just been on the back burner. Probably left on a bookshelf somewhere. And certainly culture for the last 20 years would probably be a lot different, certain aspects of it, certainly pop culture. But that there is, you've got to be committed to your cause, because it's the best chance of ever getting there. I think it's really easy to like I say, not only when it's setbacks as well, but even just when you don't feel as though you're getting there as quick as you'd like. When it comes to fitness, it might be a case of, do you know what, I'd like to be, I'd like to lose two stone by the summer. If you're on track to lose half a stone or a stone by summer, you've maybe you haven't hit your goal exactly, but it's still progress. Don't let that put you off. Do you know what I mean? Don't say, oh, well, it's not me 2 stone that I wanted to do. I'm not going to get there, so I'll not bother now. You might be able to think to yourself, well, hang on a second, I'm already a couple of pounds lighter than I was. Let's just keep going with it. Let's stay committed to the journey. It's not always necessarily about the end goal. It's about sort of sticking with it on the like I say, on the journey and as you go.
I think that's a really good point, Robin. It reminds me of how it's that Michael Jordan quote about failure, and I've got it here, and it's I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over again in my life, and that's why I succeed. So I think that's a really cool kind of quote for, like, in terms of, like, being able to kind of take a knockback and then just keep coming and be able to use a negative and turn it into a positive.
Yeah, definitely. It is. It's the same as, like, if you were to you get on a bike for the first time, chances are you fall off the other side. If you wrap in there, you're never going to be able to ride a bike. Exactly. It's being able to fail, and being comfortable failing as well. Because I think somebody like a Michael Jordan or a Kobe Bryant always saw failure as a chance to learn.
Yeah, exactly.
Or perceived failure, as a chance to learn and develop and grow, and you come back better. And if that's not commitment, I don't know what is. You just say, look, I'm not necessarily scared about missing this shot. If I don't shoot it, it's not going to go in anyway.
Exactly.
I'd seen something similar the other day, but I really do like that MJ quote. What I seen the other day was something along the lines of the price of being a master is embarrassment, because if you're not willing to fail early doors, you'll never go on to succeed, and you'll never master it in the end. It's cool. The same as anybody who plays a musical instrument. You look at some of the best guitarists in the world, some of the best drummers. When they picked up the instrument, they didn't know any more than you do right now. Potentially less if you've already gotten started. Again, if you've got to be willing to sit there and look at the six strings and say, I don't know what I'm doing with this, in order to get better.
Exactly. Well, one of my favorite it's not 100%. It is relevant, but it's a Bruce Lee one where it's I fear not the man who's practiced 1,000 kicks. I fear the man who's practiced one kick 1,000 times. And it's
Yeah,
just about, like,
yeah,
how repetition is so important as well, in terms of just, being able to better yourself at something.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, literally repetition. It's that's one of the keys. And sometimes it is boring, if you play whatever it is. Literally everything gets better if you do it again. So it's like, the more you work out, if you keep a routine, you get better at your instrument. The more you play it, you're going to get better at it.
yeah.
Like literally everything you can think of. So it's just kind of
Yeah.
sticking at it, really.
That's a good point as well. The amount of people that I've gotten into the gym as a new client, maybe, and they've done 2 weeks, two
Yeah,
weeks, and that 2 weeks they've just ached, they've just hurt like for two
yeah,
weeks solid. When you get past that and you get to the point where you're not aching so much after every session, that's the time to keep going at it. I'd
yeah,
say to
yeah.
people, like, if you do 2 weeks and you just hurt, and then you talk yourself out of it, and you come back in 6 months, you've got that whole 2 weeks to do again.
Hmm.
That will be there waiting for you
Yeah,
next time you come
exactly.
back. It's already done and behind you now. Just keep going. Just keep going. Just again, it comes back to commitment to the cause,
Definitely.
and seeing it through. Again, coming back to maybe as a group exercise sort of setting. If you have got, or that the circuit is running for 60 seconds on each station, obviously keep pushing, try and get to the end. You're better off getting to the end slower repetitions, and struggling than getting to 40 seconds and then stopping. Take, like I said, see it through. Chances are that it's been worked out to be 60 seconds for a reason, by whoever's running the class. Stick at it, and you'll get the results for it, and that applies to everything. It's not just fitness.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we've got to be professional. So to be professional, something that you need to be at all times, especially when you are sort of representing a company, or even representing yourself, as
Yeah.
someone that was self-employed for so long. It was not so much having any worry about obviously any having a boss, or a gaffer or anything like that, and letting their company down. But it was my name. It was my name that was out there, and I think whether you are representing somebody or not, you're always representing yourself, and when it comes to professionalism, it's attitude, like tone, and your communication with other people. That is your timekeeping, hitting deadlines, turning up on time, looking smart, looking tidy,
Yeah,
taking
exactly.
pride in your appearance, and in your role, whatever that role may be, and turning up equipped for it, which again, I think when it comes to even just the interview process and stuff like that, I feel like interviewers have got a good way of picking up on that sort of thing, that is probably one of the things that they're going to be thinking about: professionalism.
Definitely.
And then of course when you're in the role, it protects other people around you as well as yourself. Everything's above board. There'll be policies and procedures to follow. Part of being professional is making sure that you're following those as well. um and I guess just kind of making sure that you've got the information as well to do the job that you need to do. I'm sure, I know I can definitely speak from experience. It only takes one person in the workplace to not be quite as professional, and it can just interfere with everybody else and what everybody else has got going on as well.
Definitely, man.
So yeah, being professional is something that we need to be thinking about at all times, especially when we're putting together your presentation and your poster on your fitness class. Think about it as you are sort of like the instructor. You're going to be the instructor. If I was to be turning up for this class, I would expect you to be able to say to me, this is what we're going to do, this is the plan, because of course you're the person running the session. And then we've got being motivated, which sort of kind of crosses over with being committed, but not sort of entirely, because I feel that motivation, we can see just from there, it's a quality that helps keep you dedicated. It doesn't necessarily do the entire job for you. You know, and I think we've mentioned before, buddy. You know, we all have days where we feel more motivated than others. You know, they sort of can be quite unpredictable.
Yeah.
And there's a lot can be said for being motivated. You know, feeling like you're getting up with a like a sort of sense of purpose for the day. You know, you're sort of hitting the ground running. You know what your plan is. You know how to take them steps towards your goal. You know, it's important though to not sort of always rely on motivation, because motivation's quite sort of, it can be quite hit and miss.
Yeah.
You know, and sort of what we're saying is we need to be committed to the cause all the time, not just when we're motivated.
Yeah, no, that's such a good point, man.
You know, so again, when it were the best example I can think of is obviously coming back to that fitness side of things. You know, anybody can go to a fitness class or to their personal training session or just to the gym on days that they feel motivated, but that might be 2 days out of the week.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you do on the other 5? You know, that's where a little bit of discipline and commitment comes in. You know, a little bit of that commitment, saying the motivation might not be there, but I've still got to do what I've got to do, and I still got to stay committed to the cause. You know.
Exactly right, man.
So yeah, motivation and being motivated is something that is going to come and go, and I would massively encourage that when it's there, ride that wave. You know, get as much done as you can. Really make the most of those days, those hours, those moments, maybe even where you do feel really motivated. Just don't get yourself into the mindset of kidding yourself that motivation's always going to be there, or that it's going to be easy to find. You know, because like I say, there will be days where the job still needs doing and that motivation isn't there. You know, it might be even just now, you know, buddy, I know we were talking before we came on about sort of getting out while the weather's bad.
Yeah.
You know, getting out for a run while it's so horrible and so cold and so wet. Yeah, maybe running, you know, on the ice and stuff like that, or potential ice maybe isn't the best idea, but that doesn't mean, you know, we go all the way off the deep end and say, right, I'm just not going to go out. You know, the motivation to go out's not there as much as it might be on a lovely warm summer morning when you wake up and think, you know what, I'd love to go for a walk or a run.
Best thing ever.
The motivation might not quite be there, but if your commitment's there, we can still get the job done as well.
Discipline as well, isn't it? It's being disciplined to be able to do it.
Yeah. Well, that was the way I always used to put it to my clients. You know, we need the motivation for the days that you are feeling motivated to really sort of run with it, and then you need the discipline to do it on the days that you don't feel motivated, but it does still need doing.
Yeah.
You know, it's exactly the same as, you know, if you're not hungry one day, you're still going to need to eat something. You know, at the end of the day, the drive might not necessarily be there. The motivation to go and grab some food might not be there. Your appetite might not be great. You might be feeling ill. You know, I'm the first one. If I'm not feeling well, my appetite goes straight out the window. You know, the motivation to eat isn't there, but you still know that your body needs sustenance and still needs food.
Nothing worse than that, man. Like forcing your lunch down, you're just like,
it's awful.
Horrible. Do it all the time as well.
Chicken soup for me when I'm rough.
Yeah, that's the one, like, you know.
It's about the only thing I can get down is sometimes, a little bit of chicken soup.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, motivation to eat's not there. We know that we've got to stay committed to sustaining our own bodies and staying healthy, you know, and sort of the workplace applies to that, interpersonal relationships apply to that as well, you know. I'm sure we've all had days, you know, where back when socializing was allowed, you know, where you'd make plans that are a month down the line, and then the day comes and you don't really feel like doing it.
Oh mate,
you know?
Kidding? That's like every single plan ever. That dude, like, basically, there's been time, right, especially with like girlfriends and things like that, where I've just thought, like, if they asked me to do something, but it's like 6 months away or something, and I'll be like, yeah, no problem, because I know that if I say no, it's going to start an argument. And I think that's ages away anyway. I don't even have to think about that. And then when it actually comes to the day, and you're like, oh no, I don't want to do that thing.
Comes round quick.
Yeah.
And of course, by that point again, that other person in the situation's already got an expectation of you.
Oh man, yeah.
So then to sort of dip out on that, either like I say, the motivation to go to that event is just gone,
Yeah,
from
totally.
you know what I mean? When you made the plan, it might have been a really good idea. Now
Yeah,
it's just out the window.
yeah,
Even if that is just because it's something that is happening now and you actually have to deal with, like you say,
yeah.
but managing relationships with other people and again with colleagues and stuff like that, relies a lot on sort of sticking at something even when that motivation's gone. Not to say
100%.
you should always be dragging yourself to do stuff that you don't want to do. I'm a huge advocate there's no harm in saying no. I need to take a bit of time for me. I'm
Yeah.
not feeling it today, because it's easy to feel obligated to go and do all of those things and put other people first all the time.
Rob, that's such a good point, mate. Like, literally, dude, like, I feel like that's such a good point because people feel like, they have to do stuff. You can literally say, it's okay to say, no, I don't want to do that today, or just like, I'm not feeling it today. You know what I mean? It's like, that's fine to do that. People always think there has to be like, you have to have other plans or something like that, but it's perfectly fine, as you say, for you to just be like, no, I don't really fancy it today. Like, that's like,
Yeah,
that is okay.
yeah, because it's one of the quickest ways to burn yourself out. Just trying to please everybody else all the time and
Totally.
not putting yourself first. So there is a lot to be said for like that sort of self-care point of view, and like we say, just looking after yourself and your own mental health first. But that's not to say that, again, if you are always saying, yeah, we'll go out on that weekend comes, and like I say, the motivation's gone.
Hmm.
Sooner or later, other people might start to feel a little bit let down if you've said you'll
Oh
go
yeah.
and then you say that you won't. You're better off at the time just saying, do you know what, I'm not sure, I'll decide closer to the time.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know um or maybe even say no and potentially opt in later if that's an option.
But like, the thing is though, right? There's like this kind of there's a social kind of I don't know, like taboo or something where with like, say that someone asks you to do something, like someone asks you, like your good mate says, oh, like something you really wouldn't want to do, like say your good mate asks you to go like square dancing. It's like, we don't want to hurt their feelings, right? So I think that a lot of people would make up an excuse as to why they wouldn't want to go. They
Mhm.
wouldn't just say, no, I'm not interested, because
Yeah,
they
I don't
think, I don't
feel
want to hurt this person's feelings. But I think realistically, there's nothing really wrong with that. Is they're just literally saying like, I'm not interested in that. Sorry.
yeah,
You know what I
don't
mean?
fancy it,
Yeah, yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, if someone came up to me and offered me tickets to go see the rugby,
yeah,
like, I'm all right, thank you, I really
yeah,
appreciate the offer, but that doesn't mean that you've necessarily got to take that offer up, you know.
yeah,
So I mean, like, straight away we can even just see a couple of these coming into sort of like I say, them personal relationships and stuff like that. A little bit of understanding. You don't want to
yeah.
hurt the other person's feelings, and that might be something that they're really interested in. Being confident in the ability to say, look, do you know what? Maybe that's not for me. Thank you. I'm all right. Because I
Hmm.
think that's a display of confidence, because it is too easy to just bat around and say, oh,
Yeah,
I'll let you know later, or
exactly. Yeah.
whatever, or again, just say yes, and then when the time comes, you know full well that you don't want to.
I think that's good advice as well, Rob, because so many people do that as well, and they say maybe, oh, I'll let you know, oh, I'll let you know, like that's all the time, and
Yeah,
I think that's to do with Britishness as well, to be honest, because I feel like as British people, we're so polite and we're so overly kind of concerned about those kind of things.
yeah,
Like some of my international friends would be like, they would just be like, no, straight up. But I think that, yeah, we always say, oh, maybe I'll let you know, and that's like a very typical thing.
yeah, yeah. And that is where the understanding going both ways has to come in.
Yeah,
You know, the person that you need to see where that person's coming from, and they need to see where you're coming from as well. Because if you say to them, look, I'm feeling really stressed out, it's been a long week, I'm not going to come to the pub this weekend, and that person kicks off, that's a lack of understanding on their part as well. So we've always got to be aware of that. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's a slight on you,
yeah,
necessarily. I've always said it says more about that other person than it does about yourself.
yeah,
It doesn't. necessarily reflect on you the way that other people react to that. It's just important to have that little bit of understanding yourself.
Definitely,
You
man.
know, you might be on the other side of that coin someday where you're really looking forward to going to the footy. Do you know what I mean? It might be after lockdown, we're coming out of lockdown, and it's, oh, I'm really excited to get back to that first match up at St James's or whatever. When that weekend comes around, you know, you might be really looking forward to it. You know, the club strips out on the bed, ready to go for the next day,
Full
and
strip.
they say, full strip, yeah. And then they say, sorry, I can't make it. You know, again, you know, certain situations, there's going to probably be a little bit of like, oh, how come I'm only finding out now?
Yeah.
At the same time, you do need to have that understanding, you know, if that person's gran has fallen over and cracked their hip and he needs to go to the shop for her, you've got to have the understanding to just say, look, priorities, you know.
Yeah.
At the end of the, and as well, you might be aware that you might not always get an explanation. You know, sometimes you need to have a little bit of understanding without knowing the ins and outs of everything.
True.
As well, you know. But yeah, you know, we can see straight away how pretty much all of those will apply to stuff outside of work, you know, be it your fitness journey, be it your relationships with other people, all that sort of thing. So again, you know, coming back to that self-reflection, is there any of those that really jump out and you think, do you know what, I'd really like to work on that a little bit? You know, drop me an email in private if you want, you know, if it's not something that you would necessarily be comfortable putting in the chat. But I think, you know, I think any professional has probably had to work on all 6 of these at some point over their career. You know, I think all of us need to work on these 6 things at some point, regardless.
Yep.
Right, buddy, we'll spin on from there then, mate. We've got one more to do. So we're same again. We've got another 6. And then we've got another 6 descriptions to match them up to as well. So we've got respect, being enthusiastic, teamwork, being polite, problem solving, and initiative. Yeah. So we've got the ability to handle difficult or unexpected problems, something that is expected towards your work colleagues and clients, a way of expressing something that is interesting or exciting to make someone else feel excited, enthusiastic, or impressed. Something that you need to be able to work well with others, which is really, really important. One, the ability to be resourceful and work without always being told what to do. And this will help you get along with other people by being what? Yeah, so same again. We'll just take a few minutes. I'll let you guys just have a little bit of a think. Same again. Is there any of those that you think maybe are strong points for yourself? Any that you'd like to work on? You know, again, these are all going to come into play outside the workplace as well. You know, when it comes to your fitness, it might just be when it comes to respect, turning up to the gym, respecting rules, being polite to staff. You know, relationships with staff is going to be able to influence probably the information that you're going to get.
Yeah.
You know, if someone walks into a gym and I try and do an induction and they seem like they don't want to be there or talking to us, you know, and then you'll try and give them a couple of pointers and they just brush it off and they don't listen to anything. And then 2 months later, they come up and say, oh, will you give us a hand with this or talk to us about this? Can I just have 10 minutes talking about my nutrition? And we're like, well, why? Like, you've got, do you know what I mean? I've tried to do that and you haven't sort of appreciated it or even respected that, you know.
Sure.
So I mentioned it again when I went through inductions and the induction process the other week. It's a good chance to get an idea what the staff are going to be like. You know, if you're going around an induction and they're like, that's that, right? There's the treadmill. See you later. Give us a shout on the way out. It gives you a good indicator of what that environment's going to be like when you do need a little bit of help, you know. And I think that certainly respect is another thing that's got to go both ways. You know,
I totally agree.
Talking about a little bit of enthusiasm, you know. Enthusiasm's a hard one to define, isn't it? Because it's almost kind of like being confident in what you're saying and really, really sort of committed to what you're saying as well.
Mm-hmm.
Information that you're trying to get across. But like we can see there, you know, potentially a way of expressing that something's interesting or exciting as well. You know, like if I came along and I was like, Daniel, this basketball game the other day was really good. You should watch it at some point.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You're not going to go away and watch it. You'd be like, oh, stay away from that one. Do you know what I mean? Whereas if you speak to someone, you say, oh my God, did you see that the other night? I can't believe you did that in the last 30 seconds. You know, what a game. You're much more likely to go away and engage with that, you know?
It's like I think that when someone talks to you, if they're kind of like, if they're enthusiastic, like that's the thing. Like you could not know anything about a subject, and you could hear the way that a person talks about it, like what you're saying, and like if they're not like very kind of infused and they're really bored and monotone, you're more likely to listen to what they're saying if they're enthusiastic, even
Mm-hmm.
just by the tone of the voice. You know,
Yeah,
it's not flat, so it's easier to listen to. And also, you know, you can kind of subconsciously mirror someone's uh, kind of expressions and stuff. So if they're really smiley and they're making eye contact, like it just makes you like naturally want to listen more. And it also makes you kind of in a way kind of feel good, because you know it's kind of enjoyable to watch someone really talk about something that they love. You know what I mean? Like if someone's talking about like a film that they really loved and they're like going off on it, you're much more interested in the story if
yeah,
they're enthusiastic about it. You know?
yeah. One of the best sort of examples I can think of that is any TED talk. Any
Yeah, yeah,
TED talk
exactly.
that you might pull up. I'm like, I'm gonna watch TED talks that's got absolutely nothing to do with what I'm learning about, what I'm even on
Yeah,
YouTube
yeah,
for. Like, you know what? That looks really interesting. And every single person that gets up there is talking like it's coming from the heart and like it's personal to them, because it usually is.
yeah.
You know, more often than not, and it comes across. Do you know what I mean? And you're not only sitting and watch these videos that I've maybe not even gone out looking for, you know, but you actually take away the information that they've relayed to you as well. And you're like, I wasn't even hoping to receive any of that information today, but here I am,
Yeah.
just from the enthusiasm, body language from other people, tone, and stuff like that. Maybe choice of words. So enthusiasm goes a long way in getting people there. Not necessarily buy into, but even just to listen to what you're saying.
Exactly.
A little bit of enthusiasm, you know. Teamwork again is going to come in really helpful in not only a work environment, it could be a fitness environment, you know. Um, just thinking outside the box a little bit, and thinking about that physical side a little bit more, like not
Totally.
not not strictly teamwork, but working together. If
Yeah.
you go along to if you're on a chess machine and you're using your chess machine and you see a lad over there that's watching, like got a sort of keeping an eye out, or he's been over and said, how many sets have you got left? And you can see another lad doing the same down the other end of the gym, or another person down the other end of the gym. What's the harm in saying, like, right, I'll do my 15 repetitions or whatever, then when I'm resting, you have a go, and then you
Yeah.
have a go, and it just speeds up the whole process for everybody. they're
Exactly.
not they're not people that are on your team necessarily.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean? It's not a group project, but in involving other people, you've sped it up and just made it more convenient for everybody.
totally.
You know, it might be something a little bit more sort of strictly team focused. If you go to, you might even be thinking about, for the end of your fitness class that you're planning, putting in like what we used to do at boot camp. Last 5-10 minutes, we'd split into two teams, you know, and there'd maybe be like a competition to do, or one that me and Mel used to do. We used to get people to come into like a squat hold. So like you're kind of holding at the bottom of a squat, all in a line, starting at one end of the gym. This person comes to this end, joins on, and goes into a squat. Then the next person, and you're working up the gym, sort of one person at a time,
That's
which is a
awesome.
really good finisher for burning people's legs out as well. But I tell you what, if I said to you, just stand there and just hold that position for 3-4 minutes, you wouldn't do it. The incentive to do it's not there. If you know that the other teammates are relying on you and they're cheering you on and there's encouragement there, you're much more likely to stick it out.
Dude, yeah, like I think that for like a fitness coach or something like that, like enthusiasm's like such a massive factor, because they need to kind of motivate people, they need to rally them up and like, you know, kind of egg them on to do stuff. If a fitness coach was like, oh, we're gonna do one set of that and then you're gonna do one set of that, you're just gonna think like, I can't be asked, you know what I mean? But if they're
Yeah,
like, oh, you can do
yeah,
this, come on, you can get this last rep, blah blah blah, then it makes that person, you know, feel good about themselves
yeah,
and
yeah.
and try harder.
Well, yeah, it really does, you know, and that in itself, again, it's a little bit of teamwork. It's a two-way relationship between whoever's doing the class and the instructor. You know, the respect's there as well, both ways. Again, so straight away we can see all of these other things coming in as well. You know, respect that you've got to respect the client's needs. that client's going to respect what you're telling them to do in the class, and just listen to that little bit of authority that you've got to have in that situation, you know. But yeah, it's teamwork as well, you know. Again, there might be 20 people in the class, but the relationship that is going to get you where you're trying to go fitness wise is your relationship and your teamwork between you and the instructor.
Yeah.
You know, and that's going to make or break things. If you go along to a fitness class in this mindset of, oh, it's just me, myself, and I'm like, there's only me here, I'm only going to look out for me, you're not going to get as much out of it. You know, definitely not. Like I say, I've had people in classes over the years just totally ignore what you tell them and just do whatever they want to do. And they don't stick it out because they're not getting the results.
Yeah.
And of course they don't build up that relationship with anybody because they just go along for themselves. Little bit of politeness as well, you know. I know it was something that we touched on earlier on, buddy, as well, you know, and that I think we just, as a general public, are just really polite and try and be really polite, sometimes at our own expense.
That's it, man. You don't realize actually how much. I mean, I'm not obviously there's rude people in England, of course, but like generally, by and large, we are well known across the world for being like polite. Like that's a thing that people know us for, and the amount of times that we say sorry, that we say thank you, and so on, it's quite funny actually. But you don't realize just because it's part of our culture, but we actually say it like quite a lot.
Oh, we really do. You do that thing where you bump into a piece of furniture and apologise.
Yeah.
You kick the table straight. Oh, apologise to the table.
There's a really funny Twitter. I can't remember. It was like just British problems or something like that. And it has a bunch of those kind of things, and some of them are so funny.
Class, yeah. It's us all over, you know. And I'm again a huge believer in manners cost nothing, and manners do go a long way.
Yeah.
You know, your pleases, your thank yous, all that sort of stuff, and maybe it's even just speaking to people in the right tone. You know, I think sometimes the wrong tone can sometimes come across as quite abrasive or quite sort of even aggressive sometimes, you know. So politeness, it's not necessarily just what you're saying. It can be the tone in which you're saying it as well. But again, something that's going to make or break your ability to interact with others, because at the end of the day, if you've got someone in a group who's always being quite rude, being a little bit of a pain, you know, it can drag the rest of the group down. You know, again, coming from that fitness point of view and from the instructor's point of view, even just one person who's finishing up their circuit, and you know, the dumbbells get chucked and then they just move on to the next one, and the next person's got to come along and get all the bits back together and waste 20 seconds of their 60 seconds on that station just because the person in front of them wasn't polite enough to just leave it as they found it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, putting kit back at the end of the session, if you're in a gym, putting stuff back that you've used, be it the dumbbells. The amount of times I'd go to get a certain weight, and I'm halfway through a PT session, and I've got someone who's paying for this time, and I'm like, oh, wait a second, the dumbbells aren't where they should be. I've now got to go search the whole gym and try and find this other 20 kilogram dumbbell because someone hasn't put it back, you know. And again, it's just manners, and I think politeness and just being considerate sometimes go hand in hand, and just being able to think about others and the effect that your presence is going to have on others, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I even just try and think about just try and make your presence a positive experience, you know, make people's day better for it rather than worse off for it, you know, and you got to be doing something right.
Totally.
Problem solving goes a long way, you know, being able to assess a problem. You might not necessarily have somebody there that you can ask for help immediately, you know. It might be something that needs a little bit, the issue might need resolving before you can actually get the help that you might like, you know, or maybe you're just being set off to do like a solo project sort of thing. And problem solving is kind of just overcoming them little snags and them little setbacks, isn't it? You know, I think of it as I think of it like troubleshooting. Do you know what I mean? Just like this hasn't worked. Okay, that rules that out. Let's try this. That doesn't work. Let's rule that out. Let's try this instead. You know. It's not always so black and white and straightforward, but I think just sometimes being able to think about a situation before you act can sometimes go a long way as well.
Yeah, totally.
You know, and it certainly from a work point of view, it means that other people, you know, if they know that you've got good problem solving skills, they can maybe leave you to a task. You know, it might free them up to go elsewhere. You know, maybe your manager gives you a position or a role that he knows you can do. You know, and he's not going to think to himself, right, I've got to hang fire in case they start struggling. I can go and do this. I can make use of my time doing this instead because I know that is in good hands, and any problems that come up will be solved sort of hastily and the right way, you know. So again, it can open up opportunities for sort of tasks that you might be given in the workplace. Again, coming back to fitness, if I was to not necessarily problem solving, but I think there's a lot can be said for being able to leave somebody alone, knowing that they're capable of doing the task that you've set. You know, if I would see somebody on the squat rack in the middle of a circuit, and I'd say, I know that they squat quite often.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to be over there giving them attention right now. I should be over there with them who's doing that for the first time.
Yeah.
You know, for example. So yeah. Again, coming back to confidence as well, a little bit of confidence in your ability to problem solve and the confidence of others in your ability to problem solve. But yeah, just being able to think outside the box a little bit and showing a little bit of initiative, which is the last one thing that we've got on there as well. Is kind of thinking for yourself, I guess, you know, and being able to act necessarily without going and getting permission to do something, or I mean, get permission if you need permission, but not needing to go over and say, look, do I need to do this? Do I need to do this? Should I do that? Again, you know, an employee is going to be really happy if they can just say, right, I know that person will use a little bit of initiative. They can think for themselves a little bit. They don't need to ask me a question every 30 seconds. I can go crack on with something else, or I can let this person tackle this instead. You know, so a little bit of initiative. It's a little bit more sort of abstract, isn't it? Initiative, but again, it's something that's it's again not necessarily a skill that you need right now. It's just something to work on. I think everything that we've looked at is something that we should all be working on anyway. It's not a case of like, oh, I've got that, it's sorted. It's a skill, isn't it? You know, it's the same as any other skill.
I think with initiative as well, it's a tough one because it's good because you want to be able to kind of make decisions by your own without having to kind of always feel like you've got to go to, you know, a supervisor and whatever it may be, or someone above you. And the thing is with initiative, I think people are always scared that they're going to make the wrong decision. So I think that people think, oh, I don't want to do this by myself in case it's wrong. So it's like going back to confidence, it's having the confidence to think, no, this is the right thing to do, and I'm going to do it. So yeah, initiative's good to kind of think, yeah, I can do that, or in just kind of taking it on your own without having to kind of have a, you know, I don't know, management or supervision kind of help you each step of the way.
Yeah, like constant supervision, because that's a really good point. I mean, I think that the confidence, and I know we're saying the confidence is going to come with doing a job and repetition in a job and stuff like that. But if you're sort of supervised every single step of the way and sort of hovered over and umbrella managed, like every single step of the way, your confidence isn't going to grow because you don't feel like you're doing any of it for yourself. You don't feel as though you're really achieving anything. You're just sort of like a conduit for whatever the person above you is telling to do, whatever the project is really at the end of the day. So yeah, I think a little bit of initiative and sort of problem solving is good for building confidence as well. It really is. Okay, buddy, let's spin on from there then. Go next slide and we'll get these ones matched up. I'm just going to stick my email in the chat as well.
Cool, yeah.
Just in case, like I say, anybody does have any questions, or especially coming out of today, if there's any of these that you think, oh, do you know what, I really feel like I struggle with this, or it might just be even just to talk about your presentation and get some ideas. There we go. I've just seen Wib's got in. Morning, Wib. Morning, Wib. Nice to have you in, buddy. Right, so we've got those. We've got that next slide up there. Cool. Okay, so we can see that respect, something that's expected towards your work colleagues and clients, and I would say we could probably take that a step further in everybody. Do you know what I mean? If you've got that basic level of respect for everybody, you know, you're gonna have a lot easier time with people. And you know, just while we're on, I think it's probably worth mentioning you've got to have that respect for yourself as well.
Yeah.
You know, and again, that respect for yourself can come from needing to say to people, look, not this weekend, not right now, I'm busy, I'm tired, I've got this to do, rather than just burning yourself out, you know. Respect for yourself is as important as respect for others.
Definitely.
Then we've got being enthusiastic, so a way of expressing something, or that something is interesting or exciting to make somebody else feel excited, enthusiastic, or impressed. You know what me and Daniel were talking about earlier on. Body language, choice of words, choice of tone, really makes a difference in how the information comes across. And just the way that other people will sort of engage in that information as well, and maybe listen to it. We've got teamwork, something that you need to be able to work well with others. Again, not just necessarily in the workplace. That is going to be sort of day-to-day life even, you know. I think I'd mentioned before as well, you know, again coming back to fitness, if you've got, say, a group of four people who want to train at the gym, but they've all got a kid each, why not say, right, I'll watch all the kids tonight while you three go. Then tomorrow you take a turn while us three go. And again, that's working as a team, not as directly, but it's working as a team to make sure you can all get what you need to do done, and do it efficiently as well.
Exactly.
So teamwork's not just necessarily, because you know, even when I read teamwork, my mind automatically goes to, you know, when you're in class and the teacher will go, right, pair up in group.
Yeah, and you're just like,
you know,
yeah.
Yeah, but teamwork goes so much further than that, you know. It really does. It might even be if you're in a job but you need to work with people outside your organization or with outside your company even, you know, you've got to have that relationship with people as well, which again brings that respect in. But the teamwork's really important as well. Being polite as well, something that we've mentioned this morning. It's going to help you get along with people. It's going to make interacting with you just a more pleasant experience that more people are going to want to partake in, you know. So if you do need to go and ask for a little bit of help, or if you do need to ask a favour, you know, people maybe expect like this, you to be a certain way, and do you know what, that person's always dead smiley, they're always dead happy, they're always helping me. Yeah, of course I'll go and help. You know what I mean? If you need a little bit of help in your job or your role or whatever it is, but you're the guy who lets the door slam shut in everybody's face first thing in the morning rather than holding it open for another 2 seconds, you're going to have a harder time going around and asking for a little bit of help, I can guarantee, as opposed to someone who's just trying to be that little bit more polite, you know. And we've got problem solving. You know, we sort of mentioned the ability to handle difficult or unexpected problems. Again, coming back to sort of some of the more successful people that you might think of, they've all hit problems along the way, you know, be it famous authors, famous musicians, business owners, you know. They've all had setbacks. They've all come across unexpected problems, and the reason that they are where they are now is just their ability to overcome those problems and sort of adapt to them. Totally. You know, not everybody needs to be as good at problem solving as a Richard Branson or something like that. You know, we don't all aspire to be millionaires and billionaires and stuff like that, as nice as it would be. You know, but some level of problem solving is going to come in day to day. You know, little things like you get in from the shop and, you know, the cupboard's disorganized and it won't all fit. What you're going to do? You know, it's a case of, right, okay, I need to just reassess. I'll put that there. I'll get everything out, put it back in, organize it a little bit more, coming back to that organization as well. And you know, job done, you know, as opposed to what's the alternative? You just leave the bags on the side and you just walk in the living room like, oh, there's nothing I can do about that, then it doesn't fit. You know, there's your two choices, like deal with it or and address it or kind of don't. Exactly. But, you know, I think day to day, certainly on a weekly basis, some kind of problem solving skills are going to be tested, definitely. And then we've got initiative, you know, the ability to be resourceful and work without always being told what to do. You know, again, nobody wants to feel as though they're being sort of hovered over all the time. You know what I mean? Like, even if I remember being in exams in school, and like when one of the like what do they call them? Sort of like the invigilators, you know, the guys who patrolling the aisles.
Yeah.
Hey, what? One of them just stopped next to me, and I was like, "Oh, they watching us. They watching us. What they do? What they do? Like so much pressure." But like sometimes you do need to feel as though you're being left to your own devices. I think
Totally.
it's a case of right. If you're gonna speaking like from an employee's point of view, if you were in a position where your manager was saying, right, I need you to do this, but I'm going to stand here and watch you do this, it was like, well, why am I doing it then? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's taking up as much of your time to stand and watch me do it
Totally.
as
Yeah.
as it would be to do it yourself, um and again, I think we need to feel as though other people maybe have a bit of confidence in us to do the job as well.
Totally, man. Yeah, exactly.
Coming back to that confidence, if someone says like, right, I need you to do this, I think you can do it, but I'm just going to stand there every second to make sure it gets done perfectly. You're going to be doubting yourself from the off, aren't you? You're going to be waiting, just putting that first foot out. As opposed to your confidence is going to skyrocket if someone says, look, I need this done by the end of the week. Let me know if you need a hand.
Yeah.
Like, and your confidence is going to be through the roof. Like, oh, that they trust me to get this done. It's probably going to motivate you a lot as well, and you're more likely for it to get done.
Exactly,
because in that situation, you don't want to let that person down. That person that's had confidence in you, you don't want to let down and prove wrong. So yeah, the job will get done. It probably will get done to a better standard than if they were just stood there helicoptering over. But yeah, the initiative and the just ability to think for yourself a little bit, not necessarily need to be told every step of the way. Again, it goes a long way in fitness classes and in the gym as well as just day to day. Again, not necessarily initiative, but when it comes to people coming in and trying to figure out the exercise machines in the gym, there's some people, like I could be on the front desk, and as soon as they were in the gym on the gym floor, I knew I needed to be as well, just in case. It's like if they go anywhere near that, I need to be over there to say, look, do this different or do this different.
Yeah. Just thinking of like those like gym fails like compilations where like someone's like using like the cross cables to like fly or something like that.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
Like
yeah.
And,
it is again. It's a little bit of problem solving, isn't it? It's a little bit of problem solving. It's a little bit of initiative, and again, the understanding is there between you and the gym member. Whether they need that help. I'm just catching up on Wibb's comment there. I think I was a good boss when I worked in engineering in charge of their people. Wow.
Wow, awesome, Wibbs.
Also now being the head of my band, the Straight Jackets. Exactly. Do you know what I mean? Like
good points. Well, they're both really good points.
Bang on, yeah. Like I hadn't really thought about it, certainly in that musical point of view and stuff like that. But I mean, how often do you see a band just dissolve and disintegrate because the sort of relationship between the band members is gone or turned toxic or whatever? Is it a good environment? Is it a good atmosphere? And that in itself can interfere with a lot of, in this situation, bands that could have been really successful. The way that you certainly manage the people around you. I think it was another quote that I'd seen that said the way to manage the way to judge someone's character is to look at how they treat their inferiors.
Right.
The people that are under them. Even now, how the managers treat their employees, can speak a lot for somebody's character, definitely.
Totally.
But with exactly, you'll know yourself. There's a lot that comes into sort of managing these relationships, and making sure that everybody's sort of staying engaged. But it brings its own pressures as well, Okay, I reckon that'll about do us for there then. Let's spin it on. So yeah, we're going to start looking at sort of our final unit, really, because it's our last session next week. It's our last session on this course, last one next week, and we're just going to have a little bit of a recap on everything, and we're going to have a little bit of a touch back just on some of the healthy eating and some of the nutrition side of things as well, just before we finish up, because I think it's extra important at the minute, especially as we might not be able to get to the shop as often as we'd like, or when we do get to the shop, it might not always have the stuff that we've gone for, which is a possibility as well. So there's that to think about as well. So that's next week's. But yeah, we've got this final unit to do, which is this presentation that we're going to do, or this poster around your own choice of class. and the class that you would choose to set up. So normally this would be a group exercise to do. Unfortunately, with COVID and stuff like that, and the fact that we're delivering online, we're just going to do things a little bit more independently. Again, it's a little bit more responsibility, but talking about it now, if there's any problems, please do let me know. But let's get our head around it. So yeah, we're gonna have to do it individually for the time being. So if we can just spin on to the next slide, buddy, please.
Of course, mate, yeah.
So we've had an hour and a half or so to maybe have a little bit of a think about what class you might want to do, or even just start getting some ideas together for that. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to create your own fitness, unique fitness session, and what's going to make it quirky, or what's its selling point's going to be. So some of these that we can already see on there, we've got cycling and water. If you've ever done either like aqua aerobics or something like that, the resistance of the water takes a lot of weight off of you, obviously, but gives you a lot of resistance to work against in the water. So what people started to do was putting spin bikes in the water. I don't know if you've ever seen them, mate. Actually, no. It's cycling in the water. Yeah, it's sort of like I don't know what the official name for it is, if it's branded or if it's just like a generic thing. Obviously like MetaFit's branded, but sort of like just a HIIT workout isn't, for example. But yeah, there's so that could be good for you, especially if you're wanting to be in the water, working against that resistance, helping your joints out a little bit more. Parent-child boxing, I've seen done. I've had suggested in the past. If you've got, again, coming back to certain people have got childcare to think about. Game changer if it's a class you can take your child along to, though, isn't it? If especially if you can get them involved, hold the pads and get mum and dad to get on their knees and just do some like light pad work and stuff like that. I used to do this class where I used to get parents to do an exercise while the kids ran around the entire building, because it was where we were in a gym environment where I was pretty much the only person there with whoever I was training. It wasn't like a big gym. There was no road outside or anything like that. But just being able to say, look, right, you run round up the stairs, do this obstacle course, and I'm making your mum suffer until you get back. They loved it. They'd take their time. They would disappear. They'd be like, oh, I'm walking. It's going to make them suffer even more, so dragging themselves around. But again, it's building that relationship between sort of parent and child.
Yeah.
It's getting them involved in fitness young as well, which is really important. Certainly in them formative years, if they get used to doing nothing but sitting and playing PlayStation, playing Xbox, watching YouTube, the longer that goes on, the harder it is to sort of get them out of that as well, So while they're young, while they're keen, while they're probably interested in what mum and dad are interested in, it's a really good time to get them involved in fitness.
Definitely, man.
And we've got stuff like stretch and strengthen, which might be sort of maybe a half an hour class. You might do 15 minutes sort of based on more sort of heavy lifts. Again, every instructor is going to run it different. I used to train a group of 3 lads that used to come in for almost like group PT, but the way that they wanted to train was that pretty much they had to just have one heavy bar, do their set, and then because they were working so heavy, they could afford a few minutes between sets while the other lads went. So all of a sudden it turns into more sort of like of a class environment,
Yeah.
Everybody's getting what they need in. Everybody's getting sort of like that, like the heavy lifting, which is what they were wanting for, to work with strength. And at the same time, nobody sort of stood around going, "Oh, I'm ready to go," which you might get in some other classes, when it comes to stuff like that. And then maybe doing a bit of stretching at the end, I'm a huge advocate for a bit of stretching every now and then. Keep yourself loose, help your posture, help your muscles out as well. So yeah, you're going to get some classes that are like a hybrid of both. You might do 15 minutes strength training, then you might do 15 minutes just sort of cooling off and sort of stretching down at the end. Daniel, I know you do like a little bit of yoga as well. You can feel it towards the end of the session where it'll sort of, you feel it peak, don't you? You feel it peak, and you're like, this is the part where I'm working the hardest. Or please let this be the part where I'm working the hardest. And then like after that, you can feel sort of like a natural sort of wind down built in. They might
Yeah,
even
the good sessions they usually should built like that where it's like it'll reach a point, and then they'll start to kind of warm stuff down, and you feel like when it gets to that final, if it's like a certain flow, it's like the
yeah.
final movement that you do, and you can feel like, well, I'm starting to feel it a lot now, and then your body's starting to naturally ease into it and relax.
Yeah, yeah. So there's not even a specific time where they say, right, we're cooling down now, do they? They'll go
No.
from one pose, one movement straight into another. Um, so you can kind of seamlessly blend little bits of these together. I used to do an abs and cardio class
Hmm.
that used to be like you do what's it 10 10 circuits maybe for your like 10 stations for your abs, and then you would jump off and do like whatever that 10 minutes took, or whatever that took. Say 10 stations took 10 minutes. You've got sort of like 5 people doing these stations. You might have 5 people doing 10 minutes cardio on the treadmill,
Yeah.
and then you might swap them over afterward. So they're both getting a bit of cardio, they're all getting their abs done. So yeah, we can even do like these little hybrid sessions as well. Rock blading was one that Mel had mentioned. And I don't know what rock blading is, truth be told, but it just goes to show there's so many ideas out there and these ways that we can do these sort of fitness classes. I'm going to have a look now and see if anything does come up for rock blading.
Yeah, I'm not
Rock blading.
not too familiar.
Yeah, but I mean, we've done a little bit of bouldering as well.
Right.
It's not even, I don't even think necessarily sort of strictly fitness. But you use a lot of muscles that you don't realize that you're going to be
Okay,
using
yeah.
doing like that rock climbing and the bouldering and stuff like that. I'm going to have to put the message out in the Mel and try and find out what rock blading is. She's piqued my interest now. And then night walking, it's just a little bit different in that, some of us prefer going out later on at night. You might prefer to do it as a group. You might feel a little bit safer as a group. I know that obviously there's restrictions in place right now. But that might be even more of a reason that you do want to go out at night, although you can't get a group of 10 people together and go, and you've obviously got to be careful where you are going and be aware of your surroundings, but going out at night often means that you're going to see less people at the minute.
There's a really crazy one, like a group of people get up at like 6 a.m. and swim in the sea, and
Mate, I've seen them, yeah. It's
that's like
crazy, isn't it?
yeah, and it's like freezing. Like those people are next level. Like
Yeah. So like that is their fitness. They swear by it. I've actually me and my missus have had a big crack with a couple of them actually, and do you know what? They'll be there every day, every night, and they just swear by the health benefits for stress, mental health, and it works for them. At the end of the day, I'm stood there with like 4 layers on, looking and going, oh, like no, thank you, not for me, not this week, not this week. I'll sit it out this week, but it's different for everybody. If that works for you, then go for it. And I tell you what, the first person who ever had this idea, and certainly to do it as an organized fitness group, was probably looked at like a bit of a nutter.
yeah,
But we've got to think outside the box sometimes. That's now got its own niche following. And I tell you, these are people who turn up every week, men, women that you probably wouldn't catch in a gym, probably wouldn't catch in a group fitness class. So we do need to be thinking outside the box. Okay, so what else can we think of then, guys? Can you think of anything off the top of your head? I'm sure Wib's gonna have some ideas. Wib's got to have some ideas. What sort of stuff could we do? I mean, I always used to try and build my classes.
Yep. Rob's just crashed there. I'm not sure if he's going to come back. We'll give it a couple of minutes. He might have blue screened, I think, potentially. If that is the case, guys, then what we'll do is we'll just go to a quick break screen, and probably be 5 minutes, and then he'll be back on. Because that's what happened last time. But I'm sure it won't take very long at all. I'm sure he'll just drop me a message to let me know in a second. But yeah, guys. So it's maybe loading of mine. I think everything's still good. I'm just going to check in. Yeah, Rob's just left the call there, so I'm sure he'll be back in about just a minute, guys. But yeah, in the meantime, gives you guys a little bit of a chance just to kind of see if there's any kind of ideas that you've got for any kind of unique fitness sessions, and just to give you guys a little bit more chance to think of one. Yeah, so yeah, Rob's come back on. He just said that the laptop crashed, so yeah, no worries at all, guys. He says he'll be back in 2 minutes. So yeah, but yeah, I think after this, we're gonna kind of finish through. So we're on. Let's see, we're on slide 11 now. No, 10, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Got 5 more, guys. So not too many, but just a few more there. So yeah, all good. Oh. So who can think of any kind of different, unique, kind of quirky fitness sessions? I'm sure there's quite a few. And let's hear them. I know Wibbs, you probably have some good ideas, mate. But yeah. Okay. All right, guys. So I'll tell you what it is. I'm going to go to a break screen for maybe 1 or 2 minutes just while we reconnect Rob. But we'll be back in 2 minutes or so, guys. Okay, so just don't go anywhere, and we're going to be right back. Okie dokie, guys. Back in, dude.
Yeah, cool. Nice one.
Cool.
Cheers, bud.
All right, we're back, guys. I told you it would only take 1 minute to 2 minutes. So yeah, all good. I was I was kind of thinking myself some ideas, but I was drawing a bit of a blank in terms of other kind of quirky stuff. But I'm sure there's loads. So yeah.
Oh, there'll be plenty, mate.
Yeah,
There'll be plenty. There'll be stuff that even we've not thought of. Yeah, definitely. So
yeah.
if we can roll on to the next slide, actually, then, buddy, the one that said what benefits will your new session have? Because it's like I was saying before I was rudely interrupted. I that was where I always used to start my class sort of planning from. You know, what benefit do I want it to have? Do I want it to be good for functional movement? Do I want them to be able to bring the kids along? Do I need them to be able to develop skills like balance and strength? You know, what are the health benefits? Is it more for the cardiovascular sense? Is it more for your heart and lungs than for your muscles? You know, you might get some classes that are designed pretty much entirely to work a certain muscle group. You might have other classes that are full body. You might have some that are a mix of both. You know, But yeah, that's just a handful of benefits that are going to get better with certain fitness activities. But that's where I always used to start. Like, what do I want the appeal of this class to be, and how do I sort of build around that?
Yeah.
You know. Whip says underwater darts.
Underwater darts. Nice.
Underwater darts. Yeah, the thing is underwater darts. How do you drink your pint first?
Yeah, true.
How do you drink your pint? Because you can't play darts without a pint in your hand.
That's exactly right, man. Yeah.
It's almost like the rules, isn't it? Okay then, buddy. So same again. If you guys need to come back to this slide just to sort of refresh and get a couple of ideas, by all means do. You know, if we can just roll on to the next slide, buddy. Thinking about how we can modify certain things for the session.
Yeah.
You know, so there are certain things that you're always going to need to bear in mind planning a session. Okay, so if you've got, right, we're going to do squats today, just for example. You have someone turn up who doesn't have the mobility in their knees or their ankles or their back to do a squat in a safe sense. What do you change that to? Yeah. You know, can you change that and can you put them on the leg press instead, because it takes some of those sort of variables out of the way? Are you going to maybe need to change the class around to accommodate kids? You know, is it going to be a case of some kids might turn up, some kids might not? Do you have a plan in place for that? Suitable for people with certain disabilities as well, you know, and you've got to make sure that it's sort of inclusive for everybody, and make sure that they can come along. I think if you've seen any of the videos that I've done up on the channel, you know, I always try and make sure that there's a alternative exercise. You know, I don't even like to class it as a simplified version or an easier version, because for the right person, it's not. Yeah. You know, for the right person, it's right bang at that level, and it should be just as hard as the other one is to people who are doing that. But just give people an option and say, look, right, okay, your lower back doesn't like that movement. Rather than doing leg raises, we're going to change it out and we'll put something else in that's going to work your abs instead. Maybe we can put a plank in, engage your core, and take that strain off your lower back altogether, you know. Yeah. So yeah, there's little variations we can make there as well. Then you're thinking about the length of your session. How long is it going to be? How hard are you going to be asking people to work? There's a reason that classes like MetaFit and HIIT are only 20-25 minutes. You couldn't really do them for an hour. If you could, you wouldn't be working as hard as you need to be really to get the max out of it. So, you know, you've got to think about the length of your session. How often are you going to run your session? How often would you expect to see the same people at your session? Yeah. You know, if you are going to try and put it on five nights a week, are you expecting the same people every night of the week? Or are you expecting two different groups? You know, realistically and in practice, you would start off small and try it one night a week. Get your people in, and then you build it up to 2 nights a week. If they said, you know what, I could do this another once or twice during the week, you know. And then there's making it more advanced as well, you know, because like I'm saying, the instructor's got to know whether you're working hard enough or too hard. I got to the point where I could work around, and maybe 3/4 of the time I could tell by looking at someone's form, especially through halfway through a set, how hard they're actually finding it. Do they need a heavier kettlebell? Do they need me to go and get a lighter kettlebell for them, you know? Sometimes it's just a case of changing the weight. Sometimes you've got to change the exercise altogether. So that's a little bit of something to think about as well. Mark Wilson, Wib says, have a race with your neighbours. Yeah. Pushing your green bin down the street. It does at the minute with all the ice out there.
No.
I was like getting Everest and back the other day, rolling my bin out last week. 2 foot of snow already on top of it. Yeah, that'll do it.
I know.
But yeah, there's a lot of different stuff that we can do. There's a lot of stuff that we can vary. It doesn't even necessarily need to be a sport. Just think of it as movement, exercise, potentially in some kind of group setting. You know, so just thinking about maybe same again. You might just be thinking, right, it's going to be exercise and movement for 5 people. You know, doesn't necessarily need to be a sport. Okay, and then if we can roll on to the next slide from there, please do. Again, what is its big selling point going to be? You know, we want to know what that big selling point is going to be for your class. You know, is it cheap and cost effective? Are you going to offer some kind of loyalty like a loyalty card where people do 5 sessions and they get the next one free, something like that, you know. Can you sort of promote and sell your class on the fact that it's flexible times? Like, okay, you can't get to the evening class, oh well, good news, we run one on the morning as well, or we have weekend classes, you know, rather than just every weekday night. Is it going to be suitable for the whole family? Does it take childcare out of the equation and babysitting and stuff like that? Is it a class that you're going to design pretty much entirely around a certain disability, or geared towards people with a certain disability, or is it just a case of it's a class for everybody, and everybody's going to be able to partake equally as well, you know? Again, have you got a location or a venue that's quite unique or quite quirky, you know? Like I say, when it comes to that, like underwater cycling and stuff like that, that in itself is really unique, you know. I had to double take at that. I thought it was a bad Photoshop job. But, yeah. There's a lot of stuff that can make your class unique, and help it stand out, and especially if you've based it around something in particular, and helping people fill a need or overcome certain barriers to exercise, then shout that from the rooftops as well. Do you know what I mean? The exercise class being there is one thing, but we all know that people have barriers in their lives and their day-to-day life. So again, if you can take some of that out of the way, let the people know about it, you know. But yeah, I'm really interested to see what you come up with, actually. So just before we move on and look at the booklet that we're going to work through this week, we'll just hit up these last couple of slides. So benefits of being healthy, just to touch on really quickly. I know we've sort of addressed that over the duration of the course, but there's a lot of benefits just being a little bit fitter and a little bit healthier. And you know, we always on about fitness means different things to different people. You know, you don't have to have the end goal of being a bodybuilder or going to the Olympics to just want to be fitter and healthier, you know, and get wrapped up in what other people's goals and aspirations are. It could just make your day-to-day stuff a little bit easier, getting in and out of the car, putting stuff in the loft, you know, getting up the stairs even. You know, it might be you might live at the top of a block of flats, and you know, your elevate your lift might be getting some work done. You might need to use the stairs for a week or two. That's going to be a lot easier, obviously, the fitter you are. Walking the dog, stuff like that. Then you're going to be you're probably going to have a little bit more energy as well. I always find when you're sort of active, it's like the endorphins and the adrenaline in your body as well, giving you a little bit more energy. You're getting like them like I say, them endorphins, them feel good hormones as well. So it can put you in a better state of mind. You know, there's a sense of accomplishment. It can help with depression as well, you know, help you build momentum, feeling like you're actually getting your feet underneath you, and you're like, right, I'm in control of something. I'm in control of my health. I'm in control of my exercise, my activity. It can help lift your mood, you know. I think we said the other week, exercise is what is the least utilized antidepressant out there. It really is. And again, you know, that there's a lot of other mental health issues that can be going on that, if not sort of resolved by exercise, it gives you a better capability to cope. I think can put you in a better headspace, and like I say, you feel less like the world's getting on top of you, maybe. You know, like I say, you're making progress. You've got a target. You've probably got a fitness goal to work towards, and it keeps you going. It keeps you motivated. Obviously, longer life expectancy if you're taking care of your heart, your lungs, especially your joints and stuff like that. Again, it just says that think about what fitness means to you. Certain people have an idea of, my idea of fitness means I want to do everything while I'm young and I'm able to. You know, Ronnie Coleman, do you know what I mean? He's had a career for the ages, you know, but now I'm sure he doesn't regret a second of it. But his body's in a bad way nowadays because of all the strain he's put through his joints and through his body. If his idea of fitness was longevity, you know, he wasn't necessarily doing the right sport. But I imagine that was never his plan. I think these people, to try and get into peak shape, realize that your peak might only last a few years. You've got to try and capitalize on it. But for a lot of us, we all just want to, again, day-to-day stuff a little bit easier, able to do more, live longer, feel healthier, be fitter, not get out of breath running up the stairs, just all of those little things, you know. So there's a lot to just being a little bit fitter and a little bit healthier, because I think we all kid ourselves and we all put the pressure on ourselves to want to be perfect straight away. Like, oh, I'm going to start exercising, so that means I need to exercise 5 days a week. Like, no, just start doing 1 day a week right now, and you're already a step forward. You've got your foot on the bottom rung of the ladder, and you go from there. It's baby steps and it's sustainable. But of course, we all know this by this point. If there's naught I've shoved down your throat at this point, it's that. Okay, so from there, where we got onto the workbook, we should be able to do pages 3 and 4, but that's just a little reminder for if you do need to come back and check. So just to finish us up, if you're still sat there thinking, right, where do I start? Where do I go from here now that the session's done? You've watched the session back, and you're going to think about getting your post-it together. What do you need to do? So, so the following stuff needs to be completed. So choose and research a new fitness class idea. You know, remember, it can be totally made up. I encourage it being totally made up, because the imagination's a great thing. But yeah, you know, you might see a class that's out there at the minute, and you might think, oh, but I could put this little tweak on it to change it up a little bit. You know, so again, you start having a little bit of a think. You're going to create an argument why your session is the best in the Northeast. You know, what makes it unique? What makes it stand out? What's its selling point? If you've come up with this idea, you're enthusiastic about it. Why are you enthusiastic about it? Let us know. You know, let us know why it's so versatile. What makes it stand out? What's the health benefits even? Because that would really help a class sell. Then we're going to create an A4 poster advertising your session. So however you want to do that, however you want to lay that out. I know we've looked at presentations a little bit earlier on in the course. Again, if there's anything that you want to refresh, go back and check them sessions out again. But yeah, we're going to be just knocking up an A4 poster, advertising your new session, and then we're going to use page 5 in the booklet that we're going to look at in a second to create a plan of action. So we'll be going from there. And then, like I said at the start of the session, once you're ready to present it, once it's good to go, let me know. I'll organise a one-to-one Zoom call with you, and we'll get that done. Give a little bit of feedback, and then you can fill that final page in of this booklet as well. And then that'll be us done and dusted, ready to just recap next week. Exciting times. So that'll about do us for the PowerPoint then, buddy. If you don't mind just having a look at the last slide just before we close it down. Again, I always just like to put this last slide on just in case anybody wants to come back, refresh what it is that needs doing, and sort of what the takeaway from the session was. So first of all, thank you to everybody who does take 30 seconds to just fill in the surveys for the sessions. It makes our job a lot easier, and your feedback is really important to us. So using today's session and your presentation that we're going to do, you should now be able to start and complete your sport and active leisure project booklet, which will be coming out with today's session as well. So like I said, we've got one more to do next week. I can't believe we're at the end of this course already. 11 weeks done, 1 to go. Same time next week, same time, same place. Like I say, we're just going to be recapping everything we've looked at so far, and having one last look at some healthy eating and nutrition just before we finish up. And other than that, like I say, that'll do us for the PowerPoint. If we just take 5-10 minutes to look at this booklet, just so you guys know what to be expecting and what it looks like. I've got to find it again because it closed when the laptop died. Yeah, there we go. Cool. Nice one. So yeah, this will be the first that we are doing in this workbook today, but it should be a case of one and done really. So we can see on page 2, just wait till you've got it up as well, dude.
Sorry, I just got it up now. Page 2, yeah.
Yeah, no, it must just be the chat catching up.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, page 2. So we've got in small groups, you know, we can maybe use some of the ideas that sort of gone backwards and forwards between ourselves as well and using the chat. But obviously we're doing this a little bit more independently this time round. Just write down as many ideas as you can for your own unique fitness session, and then just use that space, doodle ideas, just jot down anything that comes to mind. It doesn't need to be an exact idea for a class. You might just be able to say, look, I'm going to make it around people with bad knees or bad ankles or whatever, and you can build from there. Like I say, it just takes one thing and then you can take it from there. But yeah, use that space. Just write down as many ideas as you can, and then you can hopefully start to build on it from there. And then at the bottom of page 2, from the notes above, just pick one of them, I guess, rather than discussing in a group. Again, by all means, reach out to me if you do want to discuss anything. But if not, just write the session that you're going within that box, and you're ready to go and you're ready to start building it from there. Then, okay, so we've got the next page. Because this is normally done in a group, we would normally split up and assign each sort of task to a different person in the group. For this one, the individual responsible is just going to be yourself. Yeah, you're going out, you're doing the research, you're putting together everything and your ideas and putting them all in one place. So that'll do that one quite nicely. Task 3 on page 4, we can do very much the same. Using the space below, come up with a plan to research your role within the group. So not just what your role is, but how are you then going to go away and research everything that you need to research? Yeah, what is your plan? Are you going to use, are you going to Wikipedia? Are you going to YouTube? Are you using old school textbooks? That sort of thing. Maybe you're just drawing from experience. Maybe you're going on Facebook and seeing what fitness groups are set up, although they're probably inactive at the minute. Again, they might give you an idea when they're going to be resuming again, how they're going to be resuming again. Just start getting some ideas, just start pulling some ideas down and all them different bits. How are you going to go away and research it? And that's your chance to put a plan in place for you to just follow it through and to get this done. And then from there, on page 5, activity 2.2, that'll be for me to give you once you've done your one-to-one presentation, just give you a little bit of feedback. We can put that in then. And then 2.3, action point, what is it that you need to do from now to your presentation being done? This is your concrete plan. Yeah, so we've used the box above just to draft up some ideas. From here, we're going to have a plan in place. What do I need to do? What order? Bang, 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 done. Yeah, so like I say, it's all for yourself. It's just for the way you're going to do it. There's no right and a wrong way still. However you're going to choose to do it and divide up your time and do your research, it's entirely up to you. But just get it there, get it down in writing, and it's a lot easier to stick to, I find, definitely. Yeah. And then again, the last page from there, page 6, will be to do once your presentation's actually done, and you'll be again just putting in a little bit of self-reflection, a little bit of evaluation. What do you think went well? What do you think? What would you improve on next time? And then that'll be us done. That is the last thing that we've got to do, last workbook that we've got to fill in. And then, like I say, we're just recapping everything next week and just touching up some of them nutrition skills. So yeah, keep an eye out for that coming through. But yeah, one and done for that one. It's the first week we're using it, and like I say, that should be about it for that one. Other than that, that'll about do us for today. We're just going to roll. I just noticed Daniel's put the link for the fitness video in the chat again. Again, give it a go. Let us know how you get on. Wib, I know you tried a couple of weeks ago. I sent you a few links over. How you getting on with those guys? But by all means, yeah, let us know how you're getting on. Take a little bit of a break before you try it, or just roll straight into it if you want, whatever works best for you. But yeah, if you don't mind just filling in that survey that Daniel's put in there as well, like I say, 30 seconds, and it's a big help and much appreciated. Cool, right? I reckon that'll about wrap us. Thank you very much for your help. Thank you for tuning in, guys. I'll either speak to you guys during the week if you need a hand with anything. If not, I'll see you guys back in next Wednesday in normal time, and we'll get this finished up.
Brilliant. All good. Thanks a lot, guys.
Awesome work. Have a good week. See you later.
See you later.